thanks very much too for allowing me to be a part of this discussion here, because most importantly, I think that there's a great echo here. I love that it's, sustainability in general is really about a conversation, and as long as we can open ourselves up to a conversation and engage in that conversation, that's going to make the change ultimately in the whole process and make things better in the end of the day too. So before I start my let me get set up though. Okay, before I start the slide presentation, which is really more textual than contextual, I wanted to kind of talk about the background of our company and how the genesis of it kind of came about. There was the original founder of the company. His name's Eric Reynolds. He came from the outdoor industry and had started the Marmot Company, as well as a water filtration company. He is the guy that came up with the business model and the grand idea of what now has transformed into becoming today. And it's a really great story. He actually talked to Chris Van Dyke, who's the CEO of the company and an old colleague and friend of mine from the past, and approached him with this idea about basically turning the retail world upside down and the product, specifically apparel world, upside down as well too. How that was to unfold was to be determined, I guess. But the concept of creating a business model that reflected more so how we choose to live our lives, and more live responsibility with the bottom line aspect of making money be the result of the goodness. It's do well by doing good, the concept of that too. So he initially registered a name for the company under the acronym UTW, stood for Unfuck the World. And he was in the process of gathering a certain number of people within to help this vision come to life, which we were aptly termed the unfuckers of the world at the time. So he talked to Chris. Chris kind of spread his net of people, and we talked, and obviously it was an opportunity to indulge in this business model that was a dream in so many different ways. That beautiful merge of being able to create product that had a heart and soul to it, had some intent, and had a different point of view in general about what it could represent in the world today. So the like-minded group of people gathered, and we got started, and we sat down in general and just said, well, because we can craft and create a company from ground zero, we don't have a mothership that we need to fly nearby. We are completely, from the ground up. How and what will that company look like? How do we want to act in this world? What will our product look like? How will we interact with other people? What are the radiating rings from this impression that we will make in the world today? And we had to consider every single one of those things, and the bottom line came to that point is that we just want to be thoughtful in every single step of what it is we do, and at the same time transform how people and maybe how consumers will buy product and how they view their purchases on a regular basis. So we carried those values into the aspect of kind of crafting this, and ultimately that's just this really beautiful, everybody leaves the room smiling and saying, wow, that's so great, okay, let's hug and then leave, and then you come back to the table, okay, well, what does that mean? How am I going to bring that to life? What form will that take? And so you start breaking that down, and ultimately what we came to the conclusion is that there's radiating rings when you do business. Anytime that you create a single product, it affects there's a series of effects that radiate from that point on, and so how are we going to interact with those people? So we created a social responsibility aspect to our business model. We have a corporate giving portion to our business model that is chosen by the consumer, and by when you go in, there's a point of sale, you get to choose to donate 5% of your purchase price to a cause that you deem worthy, or one of our partners for change, we call them, these people that are involved in the local community and the national, international community as well. So that social aspect of it too. Even in compensation within the company itself, we chose to limit the amount of money that the highest paid individual in the company could make compared to the lowest paid individual. So it's 12 times the amount. The proverbial leader of the ship will make no more than 12 times the amount that the least paid individual, and the least paid individual will be at a minimum 1.5 times the minimum wage too. So those things are really important to us. It's like, how do you create that space and that energy that people have to come to on a regular basis and give their all to, and then at the same time, the product itself will kind of radiate that same energy out into the world as well. So that was another aspect of it. The other aspect of our business model in general was, how are we going to take this consumption aspect in the retail form and maybe transform that a little bit too. So in our retail stores, we have chosen to create what we call web fronts. We have termed them the web front shopping experience. And what it allows us to do is have a smaller footprint in the retail world, so it's less energy, obviously, it's less expensive, which is also another great thing. We don't have to house as much inventory there, because what we do is we allow the customer to come into the store, experience what our message may be, and our messaging about sustainability, which I'll talk much more about in a moment, but about the messaging of the company and what our standards and everything that we stand for are. And they can experience every single product in that store setting. They can choose to walk away with a product if they see fit. They can go to a product tree or one of the clerks at the store, and they will get informed about what the characteristics of each and every product, whether it's a cashmere sweater or a 3-layer waterproof breathable jacket, and get informed about what the product is and what its sustainable characteristics are as well. And the incentive for them to walk away without a product in their hand is what we're trying to change in their thinking, is that they don't need to go to the shopping experience and walk away with a bag in their hand, product in their hand, is that we want to ship the product to them, therefore limiting the space that is required for us to have in that retail setting. We don't have to have so much inventory. We can centralize our distribution channels into one location in the States and distribute from that point there. So it's challenging that retail model and seeing if we can kind of turn it upside down and get people to really consider each and every purchase that they make. And I mentioned before that when they come up to buy the product itself, they'll have that choice of donating 5% of the purchase price to a cause that they deem worthy. And if they choose to have the product shipped to their home, we will give them a 10% discount as well. So we're really giving them an incentive to rethink how they do, how they consume things in that sense too. And ultimately, we approach all these things as not a conclusive answer. We don't know if it's the right answer, but it's a challenging, provocative thought nonetheless. And so for us, it gets people thinking, and in time we'll see if it produces the right results. We're not sure, but ultimately, to make change and to indulge in something that will provoke change, you have to swim in what I call the adult pool, and you have to be willing to jump into that deep end and try out some of your ideas and see how they're going to work, see how people will respond to them. So that's one of the aspect of it too. We also have a very intense code of conduct that we require with all of our vendors too. So we work and we produce our product all over the world. And it's done in such a way where we have fibers that come from Japan, and we have fibers that come from Istanbul and Turkey, and we have stuff from China and all over the world. But you have to centralize how where those fibers come from to be made into the fabrics that we choose. You want to produce them in that same region too, so you're not shipping things all over the place and then shipping them back to the States to be sold in the stores or on the web. So we work with a lot of different factories and vendors all over the world. We require of those factories and vendors a code of conduct, and that has to do with non-discrimination, hours that they work, wages, fair wages, the right to raise issue with the factory, workers' age. There's a lot of issues that kind of come up, as you probably have read about or personally may know about, with different factories. And we've had a phenomenal response, and they have to sign a contract with us, and on top of that, and then also environmental standards as well, obviously, with each and every factory. We have a third-party auditing system called Verite that will go to these factories and audit this. That is obviously not controlled by us, and make sure that they're following these standards and keeping up to speed on these various conditions in our code of conduct rules. So we've raise the bar in that and require that of our vendors. And again, pleasantly, the response has been very positive for this. They realize that, this global market that we all live in, you have to have standards and create standards, and they're really happy that we're stepping in there and requiring this of them. I mean, it's difficult, obviously, to change things, but the response has been really positive, so that's very encouraging for us as well. The sustainability itself, obviously, this is a green conversation. I think that the sustainability comes in many different forms with us. It comes in the obvious form of using sustainable materials. Our goal in the business model is all of our products are made of 100% environmentally sustainable materials, produced in a manner that is respectful of human rights and justice. And all of our business practices are consistent with these goals. And these are in our bylaws as a company. So that's not something that we just write down and put on a hang tag anywhere. It's something that we really stand by and feel that we've crafted into the philosophy of how we want to, again, live our lives. It's important to us. So our design philosophy really reflects this sustainability aspect too of our business model, and that portion is that for us, we stand for sustainability, beauty, and performance. And yeah, those are loose terms, but sustainability is our keystone of our business model, and it overrides every single decision that we make in what fabrics and how we make the stuff and the lifespan of the product itself. Beauty and performance become a close second or third, if you will, but it's beauty in the eyes of the beholder. But for us, a beautiful and sustainable aspect of our clothes is that they're very versatile. We have intentionally not put a logo on the outside of our garments because we think it's really important for each and every wearer to define what and who they are, and use our clothes as protection devices and maybe comfort devices and enhancing devices that might make them feel more confident or protect them from the elements, obviously, in the depths of nature. But ultimately, the identity of the clothes is created by the dimension of the person inside the clothes, too. So that's, to us, very beautiful. The last thing ultimately we need in the world is another outdoor company. And that's our goal in the end, is that we didn't want to become another outdoor company. We wanted to have something that challenged the paradigm of beauty and performance. And we wanted to have this company that merged the two worlds of fashion and pure function and sculpture and body form and the craft of tailoring a garment and the art of fitting something that's really beautiful and the ability to create our own materials and find our own sources that would allow us to do all these things. So our first season that we created our first collection, which was Spring '07, we're really a year and a couple months old. I've been doing this for the last 3 years or so, 2.5, 3 years. And we're a year and a couple months old public, but our first collection of Spring '07, we created, I believe, 28 of the 31 fabrics from the fiber and cellular level, if you will. We didn't buy anything off the shelf. And that required a lot of interaction from, from some of our previous connections and vendors, from, the different vendors that we worked in our previous lives, maybe Japan or over in Europe. It's been a really incredibly great commitment from a lot of people that have been involved in this process, and people willing to step out of their comfort zones and help us pioneer these new fabrics in this new direction that will ultimately, I hope and I believe that in time, I don't want it to be a conversation about, green or is it sustainable. I would love it's just a true sense of discovery, and that you'll find it in the garments, and that it's required of you, and that you don't see it when you walk up to the garments. It's just an afterthought afterwards. So again, I could go on and on and on about this, but that's the soundbite, Peter's special mix of how the company unfolded. So. And we'll just continue. It's just a loop of just, again, textural shots too. And I encourage you to go to the website, and we're really, we pride ourselves in the fact that we try to be very transparent in what we do. And again, I think that's a very important aspect to sustainability, and that is that you allow your company to be or you can check into the depths of it and see how true they are to everything that they're doing in their work practices and everything that they have available to the public too. So I encourage you to see the website. You can get much more information on that as well too. So thanks. Sorry for the spin out there.